Sonic vs. Mario was the video game mascot war of the early 90s, but looking at 2022, Mario is the clear winner. But how did our favorite mustachioed plumber defeat the baddest hedgehog in town? Taking a look at Super Mario Bros. 1 and 3 for the NES and Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo, it's clear that Nintendo focuses on innovation while maintaining core gameplay principles. And I'm not including Super Mario Bros. 2 due to its infamous history. On the surface, it seems that Super Mario Bros. 1 and 3 are similar games. Levels consist of running left to right, you face a lot of the same enemies, and Mario can warp to the end of the game with cleverly hidden shortcuts. But outside of that, this game shows so much growth. Instead of just traversing Super Mario Bros. 3 in a linear path, Nintendo introduced the overworld. No longer will gamers have to play 1-1, 1-2, and 1-3 now that they can pick their own path. This encourages replayability as players may want to take different paths on different playthroughs. And having an overworld allowed Nintendo to add fun things like minigames and mini-boss fights. Super Mario Bros. 3 includes way more power-ups than Super Mario Bros.' Fire Flower. Sure, some of them don't get used a lot, but power-ups like Mario's Tanuki Suit completely changes the game. And between Super Mario Bros. 1 and 3, there are a lot of little changes as well, like auto-scrolling levels, the introduction of the Koopalings, and the little roulette boxes at the end of the levels. Compare these changes to Sonic 1 and 2. The only big differences in Sonic 2 is the inclusion of Tails, who may get a lucky hit in every once in a while, but frankly doesn't do too much, a change to the bonus stages, and the ability to turn into Super Sonic after collecting all 7 Chaos Emeralds. And while Super Sonic is a major change, he's locked behind such a daunting task. As a kid, I never knew anyone who unlocked Super Sonic, so it really doesn't affect gameplay for your average player. In Sonic 2, you still go from one level to the next, fight Eggman in the second act, and yeah. The list of changes becomes even more disappointing in Sonic 3. Yeah, they've added more boss fights and new power-ups, but there's nothing that makes Sonic 3 drastically different from the other Sonic games. Sure, the lightning and bubble shield were cool, but they don't alter gameplay the way the Fire Flower or the Tanuki Suit do in Super Mario Bros. 3. Arguably the most massive change in Sonic 3 was the inclusion of a save feature, which probably should have been there in the first place. Now looking at Super Mario World, Nintendo continues this pattern of innovation. The overworld map is much more immersive and lively. Nintendo also promotes exploration with the inclusion of secret exits, and the secret exits may lead players to discover the Star Road, Super Mario World's ultimate challenge. And Star Road is a much better challenge than Sonic's Chaos Emeralds. One is a set of bonus levels meant to push players to their limits, while the other locks a really cool piece of gameplay behind a not-so-fun challenge. Sure, Super Mario World downsized the number of power-ups you can have, but it also added Yoshi in its several variations, and Yoshi adds much more variety to the game. I have to stop myself talking about all the cool innovations and changes in Super Mario World, like the ghost house that break up the stereotype of Mario games just run right, or the end goals that just make completing a level more engaging. Whereas for Sonic, I have to find things to talk about, like the new bonus stages. Sega finally starts getting it in Sonic and Knuckles, but even then the most radical change is the addition of a new character, unlike the numerous changes made throughout each Mario game. To be fair, each Sonic game does have better graphics and music than the one before it, but these don't affect gameplay. Now these Sonic games are some of the greatest games of the early 90s, it's just Sega has an issue of prioritizing the wrong things, and this becomes especially evident as we move into the 3D games. In Sonic Adventure, it seemed like Sega was finally getting things right. They added this more open world environment that slightly changed as the game went on. There are several different characters with unique goals and levels, and it's interesting how deep Sonic Adventure's story was compared to Super Mario 64's.
Yo Mario, come over and have some of this cake I baked.
Mario 64 just drops you in the middle of the game and lets you play. Nintendo prioritized creating fun movement and interesting levels. And because Mario 64's win condition is obtaining 70 stars, Nintendo was free to create some incredibly hard stars, coupled with easier ones. This continues to promote Mario's non-linear approach to games, where Sonic Adventure is still stuck on going from one level to the next to the next. Then Sega took a major step backwards with Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, while Nintendo took a major risk with Super Mario Sunshine. Sure, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle included battle mechs and 2 campaigns, and even a deeper story, but there's no open world map and the 2 campaigns seem like clones of each other. Sega tried to expand Sonic Adventure 2 Battle with a bunch of level-specific missions like get 100 rings or beat the level within a time limit, but those felt more like padding as each level had the same challenges. Now I have to give credit where credit is due. The inclusion of the Chow Garden is exactly the sort of change that Sonic needed. The Chow Garden added hours of fun into Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, but this mode detracts from the main game instead of adding to it. Yes, the Chow Garden is a radical change, but it seems like it could be its own standalone game, while Super Mario Sunshine takes the iconic movement and tropes from earlier Mario games and gives it this new spin with FLUDD. It's different, yet familiar. And soon Mario would take an even greater leap as he finds himself in space for Super Mario Galaxy. Just the Wii's motion controls were enough to add innovation in this game, as many stars required dragging Mario through obstacles or balancing him on Stingray surfboards using motion controls. While Nintendo gave fans an interstellar journey, Sega released Sonic 06, potentially one of the most controversial games in the Sonic series. From glitches that make the game nearly unplayable to bland levels, Sonic 06 failed to deliver any wow factor. The writing probably had the most thought put into it, and while Sonic's story can be cool at times, I'm equally okay with Mario's nonsensical narratives.
Mario!
Objection! Overruled!
After Sonic 06, Sega did start to experiment with more titles like Sonic and the Black Knight and Sonic Unleashed, but it was too little too late. With Sonic, Sega seems more focused on adding cool new edgy characters and telling stories to inspire the next generation of furries, while Nintendo just wants to make fun games. This is true even in the latest console generation with Super Mario Odyssey. Nintendo created a Mario game with all the classic Mario calling cards like backflips, ground pounds, and triple jumps, but created a capture mechanic that adds so much variety to this already open world game. Nintendo did this while the new Sonic Frontiers game seems to lack the heart and soul of what makes Mario so successful. Sonic has definitely defeated Mario outside the gaming world with lots of successful shows and 2 movies, but when it comes to gaming, Sonic needs to get his priorities straight.